When you're desperate for romantic attention, dysfunction looks cute. Dysfunction looks like harmless little innocent personality quirks that with the gift of hindsight, you realize were glaring, alarm, blaring, DEFCON 1 level red flags. See, I need more women to treat dating men and partnering with men the same way that you treat looking for your dream job, right? The same way that you treat being recruited by a company, right? If you're smart and you have sense, then you know that when you are looking for a role and you apply to a job and you are invited to interview or you're invited to visit the job site, right? You know what you have to offer. You're confident and you have high self-esteem and you have options by way of your education, by way of your credentials, by way of your skills, by way of whatever it is, right? And you are no nonsense when it comes to negotiating your job offer, your compensation package, your perks, etc. If you're smart about it, right? That is the exact same approach you need to have when it comes to dating men, right? Like, we can easily spot red flags in job interviews, right? And we can easily say, you know what, that's not the one for me. I know right away I would be getting into a boatload of trouble. If I accepted that offer, I'd be getting into one headache that I can't get out of. Same way that you need to have that approach when it comes to dating men. And this starts from like the first date, whether it's like a casual, let's meet up for drinks, let's grab a cup of coffee, because that's fine too, because you're just getting to know one another, right? Or whether it's like a more formal, like really romantic candlelit dinner. From that moment on, you need to walk into that setting with a complete comprehensive understanding of exactly what you are looking for. And if that is not what you are provided with in that setting on that first date or that first link up, then that's the end of that. No further conversation needed. That is how strict you have to be. No questions asked. And why do you have to be that way? You're going to ask, well, it's not that deep. It's not that serious. What if I miss an opportunity for love? What's meant for you will always find its way to you, no matter what. You have to believe in the divine intervention of your deity, your universe, or your own fucking self. You see what I mean? Like, what's meant for you will never miss you. Because what we have to understand is those of us who are quote unquote strict when it comes to our standards, especially for romantic partners, what you have to understand is that it's a muscle, right? And you have to exercise that muscle to be better at executing your strict standards, because muscles atrophy when they are not used consistently. So those of us who are strict and who do block at the first red flag and who do walk away no questions asked and who don't dive in headfirst to romantic relationships, we didn't get that way overnight. This is a work in progress and it's a lifelong project. Having high self-esteem and having confidence in yourself and your outcome, that is a lifelong task. And you have to practice using it outside of romantic spaces. So practice using it with toxic platonic friendships. Practice using it with walking away from a setting that no longer pleases you. It can be as simple as, okay, I signed up for a Pilates class. I went to one and I actually didn't like it, so I'm just not going to go back because I'm not forcing myself to partake in things that do not suit me or please me in any way. It starts like with those kinds of little decisions. Starts with not engaging with toxic or harmful family members or parents even. It starts there. So by the time you arrive at a potential romantic partnership and you want to walk away, it's not as difficult because you're not questioning yourself, because you're not desperate. So that other person's dysfunction, instead of looking cute or romantic, it looks exactly like it should look, dysfunction. And you don't have to wait for hindsight to come and go to realize that you were ignoring red flags. Because through a powerful, potent combination of socialization and patriarchal supremacy, reinforced through media and reinforced through public policy and law over centuries, if not millennia, you're sitting on a date and you don't even realize that you're being love bombed because you think, well, he's supposed to be my Prince Charming. He's supposed to want to move in with me after the first date. He's supposed to want to ask me to marry him and have his children as soon as we meet. I deserve that, don't I? Aren't I worthy of that kind of whirlwind romance? Aren't I worthy of that kind of love where they know at first sight? Shouldn't I take that opportunity to not miss out on love and just dive headfirst into this situation just because I can? Is that something I deserve? See how it tricks you into asking those questions? So you're gaslit and kind of guilt-tripped for being cautious. You're gaslit and you're kind of teased or shunned for questioning certain things or approaching things with a healthy amount of doubt, right? Just a little specter of doubt that keeps you protected, because then you're always kind of on your P's and Q's, even when everything looks secure. See, society tells you that as women, you're not supposed to do that, right? That's why it's important to flex and exercise that muscle consistently throughout the course of your entire life and every part and every facet of your life. Now, for me, for example, I am really guilty of blocking people. Like, it's really bad. I should probably improve upon it a little bit and be a little bit more humanistic when it comes to forgiveness and things like that. But I'm not Jesus Christ. I didn't sign up to be Jesus Christ. They can, people who harm me or wrong me, you know what I mean? They can take that up with their respective religious deities to seek forgiveness. I'm only human, you know what I mean? And that's the way that I rationalize it. Simple as that. It might look or sound different for you, but you need to have a similar approach. Because if not, then you'll be that person who is doing like a 100-part story time on your social media about how, you were so desperate to be with someone, and the moment that they told you they liked you, you started signing things in your name using your credit and your money and your housing and your name and shit like that to get them things or to give them access to certain things. And you didn't even give them a chance to get to know you, or you didn't give them yourself a chance to vet them. And then, now it's this whole thing, and you don't want to be that person. Okay. You don't want to be the main character, on any particular day on TikTok or any social media app. Prevention is better than the cure. All right. This is why I am someone who's extremely pro-choice, and I'm also extremely pro birth control. I'm also extremely pro condom usage. We have far too much access to too many resources in this day and age for you to be a girly who says, oh, well, I've heard bad things about birth control. Even if you don't have access to health insurance or healthcare to see a doctor, you have a computer in your hand where you can access peer-reviewed medical journals, where you can access blogs authored by and written by licensed medical doctors who are specifically women's healthcare professionals like obstetricians and gynecologists. You have far too many resources at the tips of your fingers to be sitting here in the 21st century spouting that kind of rhetoric. And you have far too many resources to also be sitting here shrugging and saying, well, how was I supposed to know that the unemployed convict with 4 or 5 baby mamas who had a double-digit credit score was bad for me? I just wanted to be in love. We're too grown for that. And yes, it absolutely is that deep because of what is at stake. See, men walk away from romantic relationships with their lives intact. Women often do not. Our lives are at stake. Your sexual health and well-being, your income, your future prognosis for your mental health, your physical health, your spiritual health, your sanity. Those are things that are at stake when you sit there and allow yourself to be desperate and ignore any steps or any emotional labor or work that it takes to improve yourself and to be comfortable with being alone, to being comfortable with being the outsider, to being comfortable with being the person in your friend group who remains single for longer than other people do. You see what I mean? And not allowing society or family or friends or coworkers or any fucking body to guilt you into rushing into a situation or a romantic relationship that is just not for you, because it just isn't. The same way that we treat being recruited for a job, at least the same way you should treat it, is the same exact way that you should treat being courted or approached by a man. I'm sorry. I don't care. I'll say it. Because when you are desperate for attention and when you are desperate for a romantic affection, dysfunction looks cute.